Hey guys, and welcome! Today I want to give you some tips to weapons and attachments in Battlefield 2042, similar to the videos I made about specialists and gadgets. But I'm not talking about specific weapons or loadouts here. Instead, I want to point out some important things that can affect your gunplay or weapon handling and mechanics you should know around weapons and attachments in general. And the first point, and that's especially important for new players, is that you can unlock all weapon attachments in solo matches against AI. For primary weapons, you need 360 kills to unlock all attachments, which equals Mastery 12 or Tier 3, and up to this mastery, all of your kills count in solo matches. Once you reached Mastery 12 and have all attachments unlocked, your kills will only count in multiplayer. This also works for weapon attachments that have assignments like some of the optics or underbarrel launchers, but you can also unlock old season content like the BSVM over there or the vault weapons that are frequently added to the game. It's a very helpful shortcut to easily unlock attachments and weapons, and it also gives you the chance to get used to a weapon and try out different setups before going into normal multiplayer. Another important thing you should know, especially when you are new to the game, is that you get spotted on the minimap when shooting your weapon without a suppressor. When you start shooting, you appear as a red dot on the enemy's maps, and when you stop shooting, your dot disappears. The only way to counter this is to use a suppressor, and these are available as light or heavy version depending on the respective weapon. Light suppressors are the wrapped or 6KU for example, and when you use them you will have limited minimap stealth, which means that only enemies that are within 20 meters around you can still see you on the map. And with the heavy suppressors, which are the Type 4 or PB heavy, you will have complete minimap stealth. So no matter how close or far away you are from an enemy, you won't appear on their map at all. At least not when shooting. What you should be aware of though is that the suppressors reduce your firepower and range depending on the type. And the heavier the suppressor, the more it is reduced. So it's not always wise to use them, but can be very helpful for flanks and close combat. If you want to be even sneakier, you can combine one of the heavy suppressors with subsonic ammunition, cause then you will also have a stealth hitmarker. This means that the hitmarker the enemy receives when you're shooting at them is reduced and doesn't have an arrow anymore. It also seems to have a little offset to the actual direction, so it's definitely harder for the enemy to identify where they've been shot from. This only works in combination with a heavy suppressor and subsonic and not with a light suppressor, and the only weapons that have this option are the MP9, K30, AC42 and SWS10. The damage of the subsonic rounds is similar to the standard ammo by the way, and between 30 and 40 meters it even deals more damage than the standard issue. The only disadvantage is that it has a slower bullet velocity and reload speed, so you might have to lead your aim a little more when firing at moving targets. It wouldn't be Battlefield 2042 though if there won't be any exceptions from the spotting and stealth system, and these are the Ghostmaker R10, the BSVM and all of the vault weapons. The crossbow always has complete minimap stealth and stealth hitmarkers no matter which setup or bolts you use, since it is a completely silent weapon. And the BSVM always has limited minimap stealth simply because all of its barrel attachments are light suppressors. In addition, it also has stealth hitmarkers with all ammo types, which makes the subsonic rounds kind of useless here, but it's getting even better with the vault weapons, cause here the available suppressors were completely different from their description. For the flash suppressor, there is no description available at all, and for the normal suppressor, it says minimap stealth at long range. But what actually happens when you use these attachments is that the flash suppressor will act like a light suppressor, so no minimap spotting on a distance of more than 20 meters with a normal hit marker, and the normal suppressor acts like a heavy suppressor, which means full minimap stealth. Plus, even though there is only normal ammunition available, you also have a stealth hitmarker. I'm not sure if this is intended or not, but for now it's something you should definitely be aware of. Same for some points around the available optics. First of all, the higher the zoom of an optic, the slower its aim down sight speed. The fastest optics are the 1.25 and 1.5, which are the fusion, holo and iron sights, but then with the zoom scopes the ADS time increases. The higher the zoom, the slower your aim down sight speed, so it's often better to equip a simple holo sight in the first slot and only switch to a higher magnification when necessary. What might also be interesting to know is that all legendary weapon skins change the size and style of one specific optic. So for example, the Stinger skin for the K30 that we received with the Battle Pass in Season 1 changes the Fusion Holo optic and gives it a much clearer picture, Or the Obsidian skin for the M5A3 that was part of the Ultimate bundle changes the style of the Ghost Hybrid from round to square. And there's a few more of those that we already got, and also skins you can buy in the store. And every one of them changes one single optic. This might not be a massive change on some weapons, but it can have a gameplay advantage on others. So be sure to check your collection for legendary skins and the optics they come with. Maybe there is something better than the optic you currently use. And while we're talking about optics, we also have to talk about scope glint, because this is not only important when you play with sniper rifles, but also for any other weapon. In Battlefield 2042, all optics with more than 5x zoom have a scope glint when you aim down sights, and all optics with a 5x zoom or lower won't have a scope glint. So the PSO 5x is the last optic without a glint, and the M11 6x the first one with glint. It also doesn't matter which weapon you use, because this mechanic is the same on all of them. Sniper rifles with 4x scopes will not glint, while assault rifles with 6x scopes will glint. But there's also two exceptions from this rule, of course, and that's the SWS-10 and the GVT. The SWS has a scope glint with the Raven 4x for some reason, while any other optic lower than 6x doesn't glint. All optics with 6x zoom and more have a scope glint as usual. But what's actually even worse is that the GVT does not have a scope glint at all, no matter what optic you use. Even with the 6x you can stay completely unnoticed when sniping with this rifle. Again, I'm not sure if this is intended or not, but it's also something you should be aware of. Same for the next topic, your sprint to fire speed differs for the different sprint types. When you walk or normally sprint, you can fire your weapon almost immediately when encountering an enemy, but with a faster traversal sprint you have a short delay. This is not unusual or surprising, but it's something you should know about. So if you should lose a lot of gunfights by 1 or 2 bullets, try to use the normal sprint more instead of traversal sprint to be able to fire faster. What also affects your gunplay is your stance, cause whether you are standing, crouching or go prone has an effect on your weapon's recoil. When crouched, the vertical and horizontal recoil of your weapon will be reduced by 10%, and when prone it's even 15%. When you have a bipod deployed, its recoil reduction even adds up with the stance benefits. And you can also see the effect of these stance changes in the crosshair, cause when you crouch or go prone, the lines of the crosshair move closer to the middle dot. Same on the bipod. When it is deployed, the crosshair will be smaller, when it's not deployed it will be wider. So that's also a way to check if your bipod is working or not. What's also shown in your crosshair is the fire mode of your weapon, and that can be really helpful if you don't want to look to the bottom right of your HUD for this. So when your crosshair has 4 full lines, your weapon is in auto fire. When the crosshair has dashed lines, it is in burst fire, and when the top line is missing, it's in single fire mode. It doesn't matter if your weapon only has one fire mode or multiple, the indicators are always the same. To switch to fire mode, just press V on PC, no matter if aimed down sights or not, or D-pad down on console, but only when aimed down sights. And I can also highly recommend to switch fire modes for different situations, at least from fully automatic to single fire, cause this comes with a few benefits. When firing your weapon in single fire, you will have 20% less horizontal and vertical recoil and also 20% less bullet spread. So your weapon will not only be easier to handle, but is also more precise. This comes in handy for weapons with strong recoil or simply for long-range shots. On some other weapons, however, I would recommend to use the alternative burst or fully automatic fire mode, since it makes them a lot stronger on close and mid-range. These are the G57, NVK PP125 and the BSVM. The two pistols can be set to burst fire, which makes especially the G57 a lot stronger in close encounters, and the BSVM has an additional fully automatic fire mode that still makes it to one of the best weapons in the game. Just remember to set the burst or auto fire mode of these weapons again every time you join a new server, cause it always gets set back to the default single fire mode. And in between, just a short tip in case you run out of ammo with a weapon and there's no ammo crate or supply drop nearby, simply switch to another ammunition type with the plus menu. This will give you full reserve ammo for this type as well, and you can keep on fighting. Just make sure to have ammo types in your plus menu that have a similar behavior, like standard issue and subsonic, so you won't have to get used to a completely different ammo type. What also comes in handy, at least for sniper and marksman rifles or long-range shots in single fire, is that you can hold the trigger to prevent your soldier from reloading or chambering the next round. This way you can follow the bullet's trajectory and can check if it hits the target or if you need to aim higher or lower. Once you release the trigger, the soldier will repeat as usual. This can be done on all weapons and is really helpful to get a feel for the weapon or an ammo type. And another tip I always like to give for sniper rifles is to set steady scope to the same button as aim down sights. This way your soldier will hold breath in the moment you aim down sights and you won't have to hold any additional button. You can set this option in the on-foot settings and then steady scope. And as a last thing that might be interesting for you to know are the different headshot multipliers of the weapon categories, because this can be helpful to decide if it's worth going for headshots or not. To the chest and legs, all weapons have a multiplier of 1, so they just deal their normal damage, but to the head it differs a lot. Sidearms and all SMGs have a multiplier of 1.25, so here it's better to spray and pray instead of aiming precisely for the head, and the only exceptions here are the two revolvers M44 and MP412 Rex with a multiplier of 2. Assault rifles and all SMGs on the other hand have a multiplier of 2.15, which is quite a lot for these two categories, and the marksman rifles are totally messed up. The BSVM and DM7 both have a multiplier of 2.2 and the VCAR is at 2.15, so pretty close or even similar to ARs and LMGs. But the SVK is at only 1.6, which is not much for such a hard-hitting weapon, so here you can as well shoot it to the body instead of going for headshots. The sniper rifles are a lot more consistent across their category and they all have a multiplier of 4, so headshots are a guaranteed kill. And the same goes for the Ghostmaker R10 and GVT from the utility category, both have a multiplier of 4. For the shotguns it's different, cause here the multiplier depends on the ammo type you use. With buckshot or flechette shell the multiplier is at 1, so it doesn't matter if you hit the body or the head, and only with slug shells the multiplier is at 1.5. On all other weapons, the ammo type does not affect the headshot multiplier, it only affects the range and damage output of these weapons. And last but not least, just an interesting Easter egg, cause some weapons in Battlefield 2042 have secret reloads. I'm not one of those who finds them and I also have no idea how to trigger them, probably completely random or pure luck, but the Battlefield Easter egg community and Danny on PC are doing a great job with this, so I thought I'm gonna share their work. So far there seem to be secret reloads for the PBX, M60, M16, M416, MP412 Rex, MP443 and the Mark 6 revolver, but there will surely be more added to the game with more weapons coming to the arsenal. And that's it for today. I hope this video helps you to understand the weapons and attachments of Battlefield 2042 a bit better, and if it does, be sure to drop a like or a comment below and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching. I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.